For those who were unable to attend the Provincial Grand Chapter meeting today at Suffolk, I thought I would record my address so you can watch it in your own time. We had a great day investing a number of new Provincial Grand officers who had either been reappointed, promoted, or in receipt of their first appointments. And whether they are now active officers, holding past ranks, or having been promoted, I trust that they will all carry out their duties in the way that made them deserving of that rank in the first place, whether as one who helped their chapter bring in and support new members, or for helping manage your chapters or even the province. Like many of you, I'm sure, I have spent numerous hours contemplating what does Freemasonry mean to me. In particular, what does Royal Arch Masonry mean? While it's obvious and clear why the Royal Arch needs the craft, I think that the craft needs the Royal Arch too, though the reasoning may be more subtle. The craft provides a means for the Master Mason to find his meaning and role in society by contemplation of his interaction with his brethren. But his journey of self-development is not complete until he has also considered his place under the canopy of heaven, which is the subject of the teaching of the Royal Arch. We're taught that this supreme degree, denominated the Holy Royal Arch of Jerusalem, is at once the keystone of the entire Masonic structure, which makes Provincial Grand Chapter the keystone of the province of Freemasonry, fundamental to the health and happiness of all the members in Suffolk lodges as well as chapters. So in my opinion, today's Provincial Grand Chapter and the work we do as Royal Arch Masons really matters to Provincial Freemasonry. And for that reason, it should be taken quite seriously. When the Sojourners first descended into the chamber, as they prepared the ground for the foundations for the second temple on the site where the first formerly stood, we all know what they found. And today, as we opened Provincial Grand Chapter, the companions present were better able to distinguish the elephant in the room that they had before so imperfectly discovered. So let's address it. I had known for some time before it was confirmed that I was being considered as the potential successor to the last Provincial Grand Master, but I had no idea that I was also being considered to become the next Grand Superintendent as well. As you're probably aware, I had only just been installed as the first principal in my mother chapter in London when I was given the honour of leading the Royal Arch in Suffolk. I accepted the role with some trepidation, mindful that I did not have the same sort of knowledge of how this part of the province is run, and it was hardly a secret that for some there was a desire for the old way to resume, and that there should be one head for each of the two orders in Suffolk. But recently I discovered that over the last few years, membership of the Royal Arch in Suffolk had fallen to below 1,000, with the result that we were unable to make as many promotions and appointments today as has been done in the past. So this invites anyone who thinks that new ideas and initiatives are unnecessary an opportunity to reconsider. And if we're going to take our duties as leaders in the Royal Arch seriously, we have to acknowledge that there is work to be done in the province by the Royal Arch as well as by the craft. We learn that craft masonry is temporal and that Royal Arch is spiritual. I consider one being the left to the other's right hand, or perhaps if our lodge is of the head, then the chapter is of the heart. As we work to bring more companions into the Royal Arch, I suggest that the left hand should know what the right is doing, and the head should not rule the heart, or the other way round. So it is right that here in Suffolk, the roles of Provincial Grand Master and the Grand Superintendent should reside in the same person. No longer will decisions be made for the benefit of only one order, and as the executive committees merge, those that manage Freemasonry in Suffolk are managing Freemasonry from its keystone, of the entire structure. Now, bringing the heads together was the first change to our structure, but from today, Provincial Scribe Ezra and the Provincial Grand Secretary are also the same person. And the Provincial Grand Almoner now holds the same office in both orders as well. Companions, there may be other offices in future that also become joint, and we will arrange for Provincial Grand Chapter and lodge meetings to be held at Holbrook on the same day in future. Pausing here for a moment, I would like to mention excellent companion Bob Heavysides, who was only Provincial Grand Scribe E for a year. Had things have been different, I have no doubt that he would have continued successfully for a long term of office. During his year, Bob demonstrated qualities of great efficiency and accuracy in everything that he did, and I wish to record my thanks to him and to Kelvin Larkham, who held the same office before him, but also for a similarly short period of time. Both of them stepped in when help was needed most, following the sudden and unexpected death of their predecessor, Nick Legreese. They then had to manage the province during COVID, and also the transition of leadership from David Boswell to Ian Yeldham. So trying to manage 3 Grand Superintendents in 4 years is no small feat, but set in the context of those other challenges, it really does set out their commitment and resolve, and we should be very grateful to them both, but in particular to Bob. Thank you. By virtue of him also being a double-header, the new scribee, Trevor Tinley, will need to delegate more of the work to his assistant, excellent companion Graham Sayward. Companions may have to become used to hearing more from the assistant scribee than has previously been the case in the past, and I thank you all in advance for the support that you will show our new secretariat as it settles into a new routine and works out how to manage the 2 halves of the province as one organisation. Companions, since my investiture, I've thought it appropriate that, despite the fact that lodges outnumber chapters in Suffolk by more than 2 to 1, that I spend equal time visiting chapters as I do lodges, at least for the time being. And I thank all of the companions who have welcomed me so warmly into their chapters over the last 6 months or so. So far, I have been welcomed efficiently to Royal Clarence, St Margaret's, Felix, Royal Sussex, Mildenhall, Faith, and Royal Alexander chapters, but I pay particular thanks to excellent companion Darrell Griffiths, most excellent Zerubbabel of White Rose chapter, which I visited in March, when he allowed me to surprise the convocation by not returning the sceptre and exalting their newest companion. I really do love a good exaltation. It's a ceremony with a real story that has a clear beginning, middle and end, and done well, it provides one of the finest examples of Masonic ritual. And when supplemented by one or more of the lectures, it offers a comprehensive explanation of the order and the foundation for many years of contemplation. But our ritual can be challenging, and while I have every sympathy for those involved, it is always with a tinge of regret to learn that a chapter must recycle its principles. And I'm sure that some of the companions are being put off from taking up office by the amount of work that appears to be necessary to ensure that a ceremony is well delivered. And it really does need to be delivered well if we're going to keep our companions engaged and inspired by Royal Archmasonry. As far as the pro-first grand principle is concerned, it is perfectly acceptable for the work of the first principle and for the work of the principal sojourner to be shared out. Conveniently, there are 3 principles and 3 sojourners and 3 parts to an exaltation ceremony. Sharing the work so that it can be done well has to be preferable to reading it. And I happen to agree with the pro, and am encouraging some chapters to consider adopting new ritual, namely Savage Club ritual, or modifying their usual ceremonies with the aim of finding a new way of doing things well, which will probably inspire and engage more companions than seeing things done not so well, albeit conforming to the way that things have been done in the past. Companions, I've packed a lot into my first 6 months as Provincial Grand Master and Grand Superintendent, and I've tried to do the same in this address by sharing with you my philosophy whilst trying to reassure you that the work we all have to do together will be for the benefit of Suffolk Freemasonry and for the long term. I'm looking forward enormously to the next 12 months of Royal Arch Freemasonry in Suffolk and leading us to stronger numbers with a province that is leading the way nationally. Thank you.